Hi, I'm Brien Lundin, and I'm here with a Backstage Metals Investor Forum interview. The subject company in this interview is Genesis Metals Corp. I'm speaking with David Terry, the president and CEO. Genesis has a trading symbol of GIS on the Toronto Venture Exchange. David, what's really interesting about Genesis is you have what a lot of junior exploration companies are searching for. A number of things, really. You have an existing really good grade resource that you're developing and building. You have a lot of targets. You have membership, as it were, in the discovery group, which is an extraordinary a group of junior exploration companies that brings a lot of talent to the table in financial backing and expertise. So it's a great recipe for success. And you've been having it. Just to bring people up to date, you have a resource that's existing of about 400,000 ounces and indicated, another 300,000 ounces inferred. So you're getting close to that magic million ounce mark, but you're also discovering higher grade hits and pockets within that resource that are deserving of further exploration. You're finding a number of other targets on your property position. I don't want to tell the whole story. Why don't you chime in here and give us kind of an overview of where Genesis is right now?
Sure, Brian. Yeah, great to have this opportunity to follow up with you. Yeah, certainly you've given a good summary. We're very fortunate to be part of the discovery group and have that both technical and financial backing. And we do really have a good team of people around the company, both management, board, advisory group, and then the technical team that's doing the work for us on the ground in Quebec. We're just very fortunate to have that. And as you said, the project is the value is underpinned in a way by having this mineral resource that we put out in 2019. That is a significant place to start. And one of the things since we started really looking at this again about a year ago is we identified, as you say, that within the main zone deposit, where the bulk of the current mineral resources are, that there's a significant number of higher grade areas within that deposit. With the resource has got an average grade of about 1.5 grams, but we're noticing a number of much higher grade areas that don't have detailed patterns of drill holes really defining the boundaries and the volume of those higher grade areas. And so that's been one of the focuses that we've pursued over 2020 with our drilling program, is trying to drill out those areas of higher grades within the deposit, both within the near surface area, which would fall into an open pit type of extraction method, and then following those areas down deeper and in many cases below the pit shell from the 2019 resource estimate. So that's been our approach on the main zone deposit in particular, is trying to really define those areas of higher grade with a pattern of drill holes, sort of aiming for more or less 25-meter centers on those drill holes. And both in the phase 1 program and in the phase 2 results that we've put out so far, we've been successful in the majority of the holes, hitting some high grades, and in some cases some significant widths. And so we're waiting for the balance of the results to come out. We expect them over the next several weeks to be able to put them out to the market. And then once we get all those received and put out to the market, we'll be updating our model and determining what the appropriate next steps for exploring and trying to add value to the main zone is. A couple of other prongs to our exploration approach that we're taking include, and I think we've talked about this before, but our program to assess the rest of the property. We're obviously in an area that has a really prospective geology, a major structure running through the center of the property that's associated with gold, both on our property, the Chevrier property, and along strike on other properties in the district, including the Monster Lake deposit, which has got a sort of 500,000 ounce resource, just under 500,000 ounces at 12, 13 grams. So nice high grade deposit. And so we've identified a number of targets outside of the known mineralized zones on the Chevrier property, which is largely covered by a thin veneer of glacial till. And one of those areas immediately east of the east zone has really come to the fore. And there's a large number of significant till anomalies in that area. We've done soils as well. We're working on a ground geophysical survey right now, and we expect to be drill testing that area this winter with a winter drilling program. We're expecting to start late February or early March.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You know, when I look at the company and in which you have ahead of you, there's a lot of different ways, paths ahead for growing value. That there is one of your targets that particularly excites me, and it would have to rank number one in my view, and I think number one in your view, because you named it Target One, and that's the one that you're going after first, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's certainly in a good location from respect to what we know about the geology and structure. It's right along the Fan Camp trend east of the east zone, where you would expect to find some mineralization. But what really stands out about it is when you look at the whole property, and it's a 300 square kilometer property, so it's a massive land position. But we covered the whole property with these till samples, collected more than 325 individual till samples over the property in 2019. And then we did the follow-up work in 2020, this past summer, with mini grids over the anomalous areas. And when you stand back and look at the property as a whole, this area of the target number one stands out. It just lights up in terms of the number of anomalous samples that came out of it. So even more than are related to the actual known deposits. So, you don't know until you get some holes into it, but it's
Right.
certainly a good indication at this point.
But have you done the till analysis? Do you know if they've been transported very far, if they're up or down ice, and et cetera?
Yeah, we've got a really good handle on the ice direction. It's moving from northeast to southwest in our property area, and we've the analysis that we did on them not only looks at individual gold grains, but it looks at the morphology of those gold grains, populations that are recovered in each sample, so you can get a good estimate of the travel distance from that. And the highest sample that we got in that target number one area contained 466 gold grains in the 10 kilogram sample size, which in itself is an order of magnitude higher than the anomaly threshold. So it's a very significant anomaly. But almost 90% of the gold grains recovered in that sample were pristine, indicating that they have a very short travel distance within the sort of less than a couple hundred meters probably. So we know with pretty high certainty where those gold grains are originating from.
Yeah, I've been amazed at how that science and has progressed in the analysis until samples.
Yeah, it's certainly come a long way from when I first got involved with that sort of sampling back in the 1980s, with the automation and the bringing in of the technology to help aid the human eye in assessing these gold grain populations. It's really helped a lot.
Yeah, and statistical analysis, et cetera. So you've got that. I mean, that's a very exciting target, as I mentioned, and that, I guess, is coming up on the plate very soon. You have drill results. An investor really looks all the time at these junior companies and what's an upcoming catalyst. You have a good number of drill results coming out. What are the plans coming up for drilling for target number one in a bit more detail, and are you funded for all of that?
Yeah, we're funded for that program and beyond. We ended the year with approximately $3 million in the bank. So we're not short of funding for that program. It's going to be a minimum of 2,500 meters of drilling, and we might expand that. We've certainly got other targets, and we're continually coming up with more targets. The more we drill in the main zone, there's more high grade results to follow up on. So we have that as well, and then there's some other outside targets that we might tack on to that program. So we're as I think I mentioned earlier on, we're actually doing ground magnetic, a really detailed ground magnetic survey over that target number 1 area as we speak. With the idea that we might be able to refine a little bit the location of some of these holes, based on identifying structures in the magnetics that can help us. We already have a coarser airborne survey covering that area, but we're doing sort of a really tight on the ground survey that'll give higher resolution to that.
Well, one of the things that excites me about your potential going forward is that you're really undervalued for what you already have. A substantial resource at very good grades and a multitude of targets and the money and the drills to go explore them in the very near term. It's really a wonderful setup for investors looking for a junior exploration company that's undervalued in a very real sense and has a lot of news coming up on some exciting targets. David, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks again, Brien.